Hello friends, welcome to Inside Cycle Initiative. In today's video, we are going to discuss about Sweden officially joining in the NATO. This is the topic of the day. First, let us try to understand what video components we are going to discuss. In this video, we mainly try to understand first the context. What is the context? The context is Sweden is officially joined in NATO. Then we will discuss about what is NATO and its functions. Of course, NATO is having both political functions as well as military functions. We will try to cover both of them. Then, what are the reasons behind the opposition to Sweden's bid to join NATO? Actually, there are two countries, Hungary and Turkey. So, Turkey, now you can call it as. So, both these countries, they shown opposition to Sweden joining in the NATO. What are the reasons behind that? Then, what would be membership mean and how it will benefit NATO as well? So, how the NATO will be benefited with this step and how the Sweden also will get benefited. Then what is the source of Russia's dispute with NATO? So what is Russia expecting from NATO and NATO from Russia? India relation to NATO, here we are going to discuss about the NATO plus. NATO plus is nothing but expansion of NATO and including some other traditional NATO members into this NATO, that is a NATO plus. Okay. So the main objective of this NATO plus is to countering the contemporary adversaries like China. Okay. Now let's see first the context. Sweden officially joined into NATO and it became the 32nd member of the NATO. And tell me students, before Sweden, which country joined into the NATO recently? That means what was the 31st country in NATO? Okay. And it completed its admission process, that means accession process in Washington. In this context, Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson, he mentioned that unity and solidarity, it will be Sweden's guiding lights. Sweden's guiding light. What is that? Unity and solidarity. Now first we try to go through the map pointing. What is this NATO and where it is presented? Now let's see. Okay. NATO is nothing but North Atlantic Treaty Organization. That is the full form. And the NATO includes countries from North America and countries from Europe. From North America, NATO includes USA and Canada. And from Europe, it includes majorly Western European countries, and nowadays, that means in the last decade or so, it started including even erstwhile countries present in the USSR, that means Soviet Union. Okay, so this is about the European side of the NATO. NATO primarily political as well as the military alliance. So next, mainly now, so these are all the NATO member countries, and if you look at here, Norway, Sweden, Finland and like Russia. So Norway, Sweden, Finland already joined in the NATO in the recent past as the 31st country Finland. Now Sweden also joined. With the Sweden addition into NATO, now most of this Baltic Sea area's access, now it is under the control of NATO. That is obviously will affect Russia because Russia is depending on this Baltic Sea majorly for its supplies as well. That means strategically this Sweden joining into the NATO obviously will help to NATO's, and NATO can closely, they can put their military presence towards the Russia. So this is the advantages to NATO. Then what is the advantage to Sweden? The Sweden is, that after Russia's aggressiveness towards Ukraine, Sweden realized that Russia may do the same thing towards Sweden as well. If Sweden joins in the NATO, then what is the advantage? In NATO, there is one clause, that is Article 5. Article 5 of the NATO is saying that the collective defense mechanism. That means any member country in NATO, if it is under attack, then that attack is considered as attack on entire NATO and entire NATO will be responded. In the recent past, when America is under Taliban attack, entire NATO responded and they stationed their forces in Afghanistan soil. We have seen that. So Sweden can get that kind of collective defense shield by joining into the NATO. That is the idea behind Sweden joining into the NATO. Next, NATO. It was formed in 1949 with the signing of Washington Treaty. And NATO is a security alliance with now how many member countries? 32 countries from North America and Europe. The major goal of NATO is safeguarding the member countries' freedom and security by political and military means. It is a system of collective defense where independent countries, they agree for mutual defense in case of any attack by external party. In the recent past, this Article 5 invoked after America subjected to 9/11 terrorist attack. Original members of the NATO, these are the original members of the NATO countries, and these are the other countries of NATO. Then France. The interesting thing about France actually withdrew from NATO, then after again it joined later. Now France is continuing its NATO membership. France withdrew from NATO in 1966 and again it reassumed its NATO membership in 2009. NATO headquarters Brussels, Belgium. Finland joined as 31st member country. Now Sweden is 32nd. Actually Sweden during the World War I and World War II, it maintained its neutral position. Okay, it did not involve actively in World War I and World War II. That is the reason. So it did not show any interest in joining military alliance. But things changed now. So that is the reason they changed the decision as well. And of course, people in Sweden as well, they were more interested. They voted to the government which is favor towards joining in the NATO. Functions of the NATO, political as well as the military. NATO promotes democratic values among its member countries and it enables member countries to consult and cooperate on defense and security related issues so that conflict can be avoided. In case if conflicts are unable to solved in peaceful manner, even NATO has military power as well, so that military power can undertake crisis management operations in member countries. Sweden wanted. Why did Sweden wanted to join in the NATO? Mainly due to the expansionist policy of Russia, security threat from Russia. Because historically Sweden remained neutral. Like I said earlier, it did not join in both the world wars as well as it is not significantly actively in the Cold War period as well. Okay, Sweden recently joined. After Sweden joined, after Finland joined, when Sweden was joining into the NATO, obviously Turkey and Hungary, both countries, they shown their resistance. Why the resistance? Because they felt that mainly Turkey, that means Turkey, felt that some of the Kurdish forces, okay, Kurdish forces means these are the group of militants which they wanted separation from the Turkey, and Turkey believing that these Kurdish forces, they are getting support from the Sweden. And recently there was incidents of burning of Quran. Quran is considered as holy book, and Sweden government did not stop, and in fact they did not take any action on them as well, because Sweden government is claiming that it is protected under freedom of speech and expression. Due to these reasons, Turkey and Hungary has their own reasons as well. Because of these two reasons, because of these two countries, Sweden's membership was keep on pending. Because in NATO, if any country would like to join in the NATO, all the member countries, all the existing member countries, they should agree. Then only the membership will be completed. But recently, this Turkey changed its position because USA convinced Turkey and USA helped to Turkey in this process. Okay, so now USA, after offering this USA regarding this military equipment, now Turkey is accepting, even Turkey is also convinced regarding the membership of the Sweden. So that we have to understand here. So already we covered why this Turkey is shown its resistance towards Sweden joining in the NATO due to this Sweden support towards this Kurdish military outfit and Quran burning incidents as well. Next, US agreed to sell 40 F-16 fighter jets to Turkey. After that, even Turkey also convinced regarding the Sweden's membership into the NATO. Next, what will Sweden bring to NATO? Like we discussed, so Sweden joining into the NATO, obviously now the NATO's military presence can be more proximate towards Russia. Okay, so and they can get a good hold, strategic hold in the Baltic Sea coastline as well. These are the two things. Next, Sweden military, even though it is very slow, it is very less in number, it is modern and experienced in the like in the cold areas war, especially in the cold conditions, because this NATO, this Russia's side of this Finland and Sweden, they are in a very cold region, and in that warfare the Sweden army plays very important role, and they have very advanced aircraft and submarine capabilities as well. Next, what is the source of Russia's dispute with NATO? Russia is claiming that NATO is expanding eastwards, and even NATO is taking the previous member countries of the Russia, USSR as well, Soviet Union. So Russia is objecting that NATO should not take any membership from the erstwhile Soviet Union member countries. That is the Russia demand. Of course, okay, NATO is not abiding to that. If you look at here, late 1990s, Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, early 2000s, countries like Bulgaria, Estonia, and so many erstwhile countries of Soviet Union, now later they joined in the NATO as well. Okay, even the Ukraine also tried to join in the NATO. So that is where actually this present Russia-Ukraine war started, because Russia know that once Ukraine joined in the NATO, obviously Ukraine will be protected by the common defense clause, and Russia is demanding for two agreements. That is, the first thing is NATO. Okay, NATO should end its eastward expansion, and it should ban all the future membership of the countries which were present in the previous Soviet Union. And second one, both this NATO and Russia, they should not deploy any military assets in such a manner that it provoking both the sides. So these are the two demands from Russia. Okay, now NATO is not in a mood to listen to that. According to the United States report released by Select Committee on Chinese Communist Party, okay, this is a report on China published by USA. According to that, United States, they would like to strengthen the NATO plus by including India. At the moment, NATO plus included Australia, Japan, South Korea, New Zealand and Israel. Actually, you can say this is a natural extension to Quad and Malabar Navy exercise. Okay, so the America is trying to convince India into NATO plus. Let's see. Okay, it is not surprising also if you join into this NATO plus without any liabilities, because when you join in this kind of organizations, obviously you have to allow their military presence in our country as well. So without affecting our sovereignty, of course, we can join in this kind of organizations in the best interest of the country. Yesterday's video question, Operation Cactus, which was seen in news recently, is related to which of the following? It is related to an Indian operation that helped the government of Maldives in neutralizing the coup. So this is about Operation Cactus. Now let's see today's video question. Today's video question is, with reference to NATO, consider the following statements. It is a military alliance established by Washington Treaty. NATO has never invoked collective defense clause. Okay, consider these two statements and give the right one. Mains question. Trace the origins of NATO and evaluate its relevance in the present day geopolitics. How it is relevant. Okay. Now we reached to the end of this video. In this particular video, we mainly discussed about Sweden officially joining in the NATO. Then we discussed about NATO's history and what are the two objectives of NATO, political objective and military objectives as well. Then how the members joined and the case of France. Next, which countries shown their resistance towards joining of this Sweden, mainly Turkey and Hungary. Why they shown such resistance? Then what America offered to Turkey also we discussed. And at the end of the video, we discussed about NATO plus, that is the future's NATO extension plan, and they are considering to including India as well. So this is the detailed analysis regarding Sweden joining into NATO. Thanks for watching this video. Have a great day. Jai Hind.